You're watching a CBS 5 News special, Monsoon, Eye on the Storm.
We're all used to strong wind gusts with our monsoon storms, but microbursts pose a special hazard.
These strong, localized damaging winds can cause major destruction. They're especially dangerous for airplanes trying to take off and land.
One recent strong one hit us in 2008. The peak wind gust that August night at Sky Harbor was 75 miles an hour. 2011 brought strong winds as well. On August 18th, Santan Valley saw 60-mile-per-hour winds. More than 30 power poles were knocked down. A roof was also blown right off a home.
This is a time-lapse of what's called a wet microburst. It's called that because the rain with it reaches all the way to the ground. Look how quickly it develops and then just unleashes rain and wind rushing towards the ground with tremendous force. Well, Chris, you're a pilot, and you know that stormy weather and flying, it's not a good combination.
Oh, you got that right. But you know what? The airlines and our local airports do have ways of dealing safely with our monsoon storms.
You don't normally think of Phoenix as a hotbed for airport weather delays, but if it's going to happen, the monsoon is the time.
Over the last couple of years, we have had much more intense dust storms that have caused visibility issues.
In addition to dust, heavy rain, and lightning, monsoon storms can also bring what pilots fear most, microbursts and wind shear, which can literally push an aircraft into the ground. Thankfully, pilots often train for this, and controllers at Sky Harbor have a system of sensors to detect a potential microburst. Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport in the East Valley keeps a close watch on those monsoon storms because passengers walk out onto the ramp to board their flights.
But at Gateway Airport, we do provide umbrellas for the passengers to help keep them dry during inclement weather. But if it's a real strong hazardous storm, aircraft operations are typically delayed until the storm passes.
At the end of the day, it's a well-orchestrated effort by pilots, air traffic controllers, and airport operations to keep the traveling public safe.
During the monsoon storms, the Phoenix Fire Department gets an influx of phone calls. In fact, they get so many phone calls, they actually change the way they do things. The fire department goes into emergency storm deployment.
We try and upstaff as much as we can. We know our call level is going to be intense. Even if we don't know the specific days, we can generally tell what time of the year. We'll upstaff. And then when the storms hit, we actually have 3 different types of what are called emergency deployment that we can activate.
Engine companies divide into smaller groups. That means more fire crews lend a helping hand.
On a monsoon day, you may get 300 or 400 calls just in the period where the monsoon is active. So now you're talking about a 50% increase in your overall call volume, and this usually just comes in a period of a few hours.
Those storms bring a lot of elements, keeping the fire department and dispatch very busy.
The issue with the monsoon is it's so dynamic. So you've got the wall of dust, which now you've got traffic accidents because of the low visibility. So you may start off with a rash of traffic accidents. Then you've got the wind, and you're talking about structural damage, porch collapses, roof tiles coming off, people injured by falling debris or falling tree limbs or things like that.
These storms can be scary, not only for adults and kids, but for pets also, like Molly and Maggie.
Yeah, but there are some steps you can take to protect your favorite four-legged friends.
Bring your pets indoors. Bring in their toys, their comfy bed, and just get them set up so they feel safe and secure.
Bretta Nelson says if your pet runs and hides inside your house, let them. It's okay for them to wait out the storm in their secret spot. Also very important, make sure each pet has up-to-date ID.
Microchipping is best because even if they run away, that collar can slip right off. Microchipping your pet, the chances of their return increases greatly.
If the animal has high anxiety, how about trying out a Thunder shirt?
Is a little shirt that goes on pets. You wrap them really tight and it acts almost like a gentle hug. Just by applying that pressure, it makes them feel so much more secure. You just want to make sure first that your pet doesn't mind wearing something. Otherwise, it's not going to work too well.
Bottom line, when you see the monsoon storms brewing, bring your pet inside. After these big storms hit, Nelson says that's the time the shelters are the busiest.
So it's very scary for them, and you really just have to place yourself in their shoes, in their paws, and really, help them out. And that's why the biggest thing is to really bring them indoors. Don't leave them outside. It's so scary for them.
If your pet does end up missing during a storm, here are the first steps you should take. Call the Humane Society. Check with the emergency vet clinics near your home. Check Craigslist. And be sure to contact Maricopa County Care and Control. Monsoon storms hit during rush hour. We'll tell you what you need to know if power lines fall, trapping you in your car. And are we in for a dry summer with no rain and massive dust storms? Our exclusive monsoon forecast is moments away.
You're watching a CBS 5 News special, Monsoon, Eye on the Storm.
Hello again, I'm Julie Waters coming to you from Glendale's Emergency Operations Center. Our special Monsoon Eye on the Storm produced by CBS 5 is about to come to an end. But before that, we want to give you some important phone numbers to write down. We've all seen pictures like these after a monsoon, trees that have become uprooted. Well, this next safety tip is from Glendale's Field Operations Department. It is recommended that your trees and bushes are trimmed regularly to help prevent this. The city will remove uprooted trees that land on public roads, but the city does not remove fallen trees from private property.
Here are numbers to keep handy to alert the city about downed trees and road hazards.
Now we want to give you phone numbers for the local power companies. Your home is either serviced by SRP or APS. If you need to report a power outage, here are the numbers to call. For SRP, it is 602-236-8811. And for APS customers, call 602-371-7171. And of course, all of this information can be found on our website, glendaleaz.com/monsoon. We now return to Monsoon, Eye on the Storm.
You're watching a CBS 5 News special, Monsoon, Eye on the Storm.
Lightning tends to strike objects that are higher from the ground, such as phone lines and power lines. In fact, it's not unusual for storms to knock out power, leaving us all in the dark.
And we spent some time with the folks on the front lines at APS to see what it takes to get our power back on. Travis Connor with APS says when emergency situations come up, crews are at their best.
We train for this. This is what we live for.
If your power goes out, the first step is to call and report it. From there, a crew is dispatched.
The crews do what they do best. They restore the power. They build lines, they put wire up, they put transformers in the air, they run secondary to homes. And as soon and as safely as possible, we'll restore the power to the customers.
When the rain is pouring down and the wind is blowing, Connor says preparation is key.
Lots of preparation up to monsoon as far as prepping crews, location of equipment, to make sure that when we need to respond to our normally heavily hit areas due to monsoon or any kind of weather, that we have equipment in place for rapid response, quicker response.
The #1 culprit of power outages is a blown out fuse, but what does that mean?
A lot of times a customer will hear a loud pop or a loud bang in their neighborhood. It's usually this guy. Something's got into the line, either on the transformer, either on the primary, and blown this fuse open. That's usually what the customer will hear.
Connor says APS is always making sure its crews are trained to stay one step ahead of the storms.
APS's #1 goal is to safely get as many customers on as quickly as possible.
Well, as you can see, down power lines are not uncommon during the monsoon.
Here's what you need to know if a power line falls on your car, trapping you inside. The first thing to do is to stay calm. If you have a cell phone, dial 911. If you don't have a cell phone, wait in your vehicle and turn on your hazard lights. Keep waiting until help arrives. Experts say there are only 2 circumstances when you should leave your car if you've been hit by a power pole. When a rescue worker tells you to get out, or if you smell smoke or a suspicious odor, it's a good indication a fire is starting. If you have to leave your car, you must jump clear of it. Once you've landed, you want to hop, skip, or shuffle as far away from the vehicle as possible. Remember, an electrically charged car has rings of powerful electricity all around it. Getting as far away from the vehicle as possible is really important to help prevent you from getting electrocuted.
After the storm hits, scammers tend to hit the streets, trying to take advantage of people who need repairs. Here's what you need to look out for.
Beware of people stopping by unannounced, saying they just happen to be in the area, or people saying they have extra supplies left over from other jobs and can offer to fix your problem at a very low price. People who ask for a significant amount of money up front before they will start work. Before any work is ever done, you always want to get a quote. To avoid being taken, check any contractor out with the Better Business Bureau and the Registrar of Contractors. Make sure they are licensed and cross-reference by calling the number listed in case the contractor is using the license number of a legit contractor and is pretending to be someone they are not. Never pay any more than 10% down for any contractor job.
One way you can be sure to stay ahead of the storm is to follow us on Facebook. There you'll find storm alert updates. You can also share your weather pictures with us.
You can also find us on Twitter. Look for weather updates directly from me at Chris Dunn CBS 5. We'll also keep you informed by following us at CBS 5 AZ. Weather Now is your source for live, late-breaking local weather updates 24 hours a day. Whether you're curious about the current temperature or need breaking weather information, we've got what you need. You can watch it on Cox Digital Cable Channel 85 or over the air on Digital Channel 5.2.
And now it's time for the monsoon forecast for the season ahead. You know, we look at a lot of different factors that affect the monsoon here in Arizona, such as what's happening out in the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of California. Water temperatures in the Gulf, as well as off the coast of Southern California, stayed fairly warm this past winter with a lack of storms to churn things up. And sometimes that extra heat energy eventually translates into more monsoon action for us here in the desert.
But it's important to note that monsoon action tends to come in surges, which usually start up in early July. So even during an active monsoon, we'll still likely see several weeks of fairly quiet weather during the summer.
Well, right now, signs do point to a somewhat active monsoon with near normal to slightly above normal rainfall that will bring us more than 3 inches of rain. That would be a welcome sight after the dry winter and spring we've had here in Arizona.
And more rain, especially early in the season, will limit those big dust storms.
Well, no matter what happens this summer, you can count on us and the CBS 5 News team to keep you ahead of the storm.
And on behalf of the Valley Pinpoint Forecast team, we thank you for watching this special presentation of Monsoon, Eye on the Storm.
We have a water rescue.
Somebody's in the front of the van.
House is flooded. We got everything. This is crazy. Looks like we got a family crossing here, which is not very smart. This is Anthem. This is over by the rec center in Anthem. It's underwater. Trying to save them here.